Hello everybody, this is Dyno-Gaming, coming back at you with another video, and obviously you can tell, I'm back from my hiatus. I had some computer issues a while back, and Guy said it'd take 3 days. Spoiler warning, it did not take 3 days, it took over a month. So, fun. But I am here in Prehistoric Hunt to bring you some rather exciting news. I am playing on the open beta of the game, and in this beta, there are some major changes that I'm going to be reading off right now. Alright, so the changes to the dinosaur balance, I'm going to get into some of the more meat and potatoes of this. The main changes I really want to talk about are the dinosaur balance changes and the weapon balance changes. The dinosaur balance changes are the secondary damage from heart shots, so if you hit lung and then heart, hitting the heart would be counted as secondary. It was increased from 45 up to 75 on all species. Lung shot secondary damage was globally increased from 10 to 20 for most species. Wing shots on pterosaurs and the Sinornithosaurus, their integrity loss has been reduced from 5 down to 1. The bleed rate for all species except Tyrannosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Sarcosuchus, Spinosaurus, and Mosasaurus have been globally increased, like doubled. So that they don't take an eternity to bleed out. As for general specific species, Pteranodon and Thalassodromus have had their health nerfed from 100 to 120 down to 45 to 70. The damage they take from stomach shots is now 50 direct, 25 secondary, and it was 50 direct, 25 secondary. Now it's 40 direct and 20 secondary. The Compsognathus has had, and Sinornithosaurus for that matter, have had their health nerfed down to 10 to 20. Their head and neck shots will drop them no matter what now, as that damage was buffed from 20 up to 50. Their walking speed was reduced from 6 down to 4. Brachiosaurus, this is one of the big changes, the big changes. It previously had only 200 to 250 HP. Now it has 325 to 450 HP. The damage it takes from heart shots has been buffed to 100 direct and 60 secondary. Stomach was nerfed to 20 and 8. Lung was nerfed to 22 and 10. Giga has stayed the same except for the health being buffed to 160 to 230. Rex takes a little bit more damage from lung shots, going for 20 direct and 10 secondary. Spino had a major health nerf, so it is now on this beta, 140 to 220 HP. Yet the Sinornithosaurus is same changes as the Compy. Quetz, its attack end duration was increased from 0.2 seconds to 0.9 seconds. The health was reduced to 100 to 150, even though it should really be realistically 75 to 95, as despite being around the weight of a large North American black bear due to very hollow bones, Quetzalcoatlus northropi would be very fragile. And hold up, I hear a Rex. I'm just gonna get over here and crouch down, and I'll continue reading this off. Then we'll actually get into some hunting. The weapon balance changes, these are the ones I'm actually responsible for. The basic rifle has had its penetration nerfed to 12, the bolt action length buffed to 1.2, so it takes longer to ready another shot. Bullet speed was increased from 1.5 to 1.8, so those rounds will reach their target a good bit faster now on this beta. Keep in mind, this is all in preparation for an upcoming massive balance update. The hunting rifle has gotten some major changes. Essentially, the cost was switched with the 3030 for this beta. It got 75, the 3030's power, so 75. It got a magazine size decrease to 6 rounds. Bullet speed was increased to 2. Stability, which is basically how stable a gun is when you're aiming down sights, obviously, is now 0.9. And it now takes 1.4 seconds to ready another shot, with the hunting rifle to be more in line with long-action cartridges like 30-06, which myself and many other players have headcanoned that the hunting rifle is more than likely something like a 30-06, which is a long-action cartridge. It wouldn't make that much sense for it to have a bolt action length of 0.9. Shotgun got a massive buff from 15 damage per pellet to 20 damage per pellet. Penetration was given an actual stat of 5. The shot distance bonus threshold was changed to 25, so you can take closer shots and get shot distance bonus with that gun now. Bullet speed was increased from 0.6 to 0.7. Cost was reduced to 800. And it was added zeroing of 50 to 150 meters, which would be logical for slugs, but since the zeroing set is kind of broken for anything under 50 meters, so you can't have 25 to 75 meter zero settings for weapons within the game's code. You just can't do that. It completely breaks it. They changed that. Pistol got nerfed from 40 damage to 30. It got penetration buff to 1. Damage fall off is 0.2, so that damage falls off very quickly. 50 cal got a little power boost to 125. Major penetration boost to 40. It also got a magazine increase of 5 rounds, as that model is based on the Barrett M95, which in the real world, the M95 holds 5 rounds of 50 BMG. The zeroing max was changed from 600 meters to 750 meters. It's going to be so much more accurate now, much more stable. Bullet speed was massively increased to a huge 2.5. Revolver got its penetration nerfed down to 10. Power nerfed to 55. Allowed distance, which is range bonus. Oh, hold on. This gives me an opportunity to show you another change that got added. The 700 got a big-ass buff. Pardon my French. As you can see, on the base game, it can't do that. I'm gonna get to it. Now the 700's changes. It got a massive power boost from 115 to 150. Unlike 50 BMG, which is designed for penetrating armored vehicles, 700 Nitro Express is designed specifically for large, dangerous game hunting. In fact, it's actually considered overkill on things like elephant and rhino. So to better portray that, I gave it a huge power boost. Penetration was increased to 30. Bullet speed was nerfed to 1. Allowed distance, basically range bonus, reduced to 100. It'll be a little bit more accurate now. It has the highest damage fall off, so that massive damage of 150 will drop very, very, very quickly. So it is most specifically a short-range rifle, which is how heavier Nitro Express cartridges work. Nitro Express cartridges as a whole have pretty bad energy retention. Its cost was increased to 9,000. Again, this is all on the beta. and its zeroing max was reduced to 200, but it really should be a maximum of 150. The heavy rifle 338, penetration 22, bolt length 1.7, bullet speed 2.25, magazine down to 6 rounds instead of 7, much more accurate, much more stable, and the 750 zeroing maximum. 4570 got buffed to 20 penetration, 1.6 bullet speed, 1.1 bolt length, much more accurate, much more stable, and a shorter distance bonus of 150. Reduced the zeroing max down to 400, as 4570 and 3030 are brush guns. You're typically not going to be taking shots further than 200 meters with them. So on dense maps like Tenebris, they are very, very ideal. Apologies if I'm talking a little too much. Let me know if you want me to... I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Backtrack. 3030. Basically, 3030 just got the old hunting rifle stats, and that's about it. The updated weapon suitability is the pistol is only suitable for the Compy, Cyno, Pteranodon, Thalassa, and Quetz. Shotgun is the same, but also the Galley, the Gallimimus. The hunting rifle 338 and 4570 are covering the Quetz, Galley, Packy, Utah, Carno, Allo, Para, Theri, Iguanodon, Anki, Stego, Spino, Sarco, Trike, Giga, Rex, and Moza. The revolver, rifle, and 3030 are Pteranodon, Thala, Quetz, Galley, Packy, and Utah. And the 700 are specifically, and 50 cal are specifically for the Anki, Stego, Spino, Sarco, Trike, Giga, Rex, Moza, and Brack. Tribal bow, everything except Brachio, and compound bow, everything except the Cyno, Compy, Pteranodon, and Thalassadromus. Those are the main changes that I wanted to talk about, but there is also a little something in this beta that you may have seen from other content creators. Vehicles. Vehicles have been added, and there are some issues with them, being that it is very much a beta. Like, it is strictly a beta. So the developers require us, the players, to obviously play the beta and let them know what the main issues are with things like the vehicles. Alright, there's an Allosaur up there and a Rex down there. As you can see, there are now, on the beta, main Allosaur contracts. Same goes for pinpointed Mosasaur. Also, ignore this. It was like that when I got on the beta. It will start you with 10,000 at, I believe, level 1. Oh, here we go. God, I suck. There we go. Alright, I should go over my loadout. As you can see, I am carrying the 3030 and not the 4570, the 700. I'm also carrying the 338. I'm probably going to switch it out for the 4570 due to this being a very, very short range map. Also, I would like to speak about the upcoming desert map. It looks absolutely immaculate, but there are some issues I have with it, like the Diplodocus being on the desert map. Now, personally, myself and a lot of other paleo geeks do not see Diplodocus thriving in the slightest in a desert. It's way too large of an animal. There isn't enough plant matter. And we have paleontological evidence regarding that Diplodocus would have preferred to live on more open plains near, like, lush floodplains, near woodlands. That's basically what the Morrison Formation was. It was floodplains and woodland. Like, look at the original Walking with Dinosaurs. That still holds place in reality with what Diplodocus probably would have lived in. So, for it to be placed on a desert map... Now, I love this game. And I love how the developers listen to the community. But the one main issue I do have with the placement of the Diplodocus is it wouldn't really be able to survive in a desert. Dilophosaurus, I can understand that. Like, I really can. And the upcoming Oryctodromeus, or however you say it, looks like it's going to be annoying and fun to hunt at the same time due to that burrowing thing. Hold on. But I do have some issues with it. Wait, no I don't. Yeah, really my only issue with the upcoming desert map is the Diplodocus being present in a desert. Personally, what I feel like the devs should do is, place it on Tenebris, as Tenebris has a very Jurassic period feel. Most of the species on Tenebris, like a good chunk of them, like the Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, the Brachiosaurus, like that general bunch, are a good idea. So the ideal ideally I would prefer English. Damn it, you can see I'm in my morning mind right now. Anyway, personally, I feel the Diplodocus should be put on Tenebris instead of this upcoming desert map, as it just ecologically doesn't make that much sense for a fairly large sauropod to live in a barren, dry desert. And, I'm gonna be honest, it would just look very, very good to just walk through a valley on Tenebris and see a Diplodocus browsing in the trees, like you would have seen in the Morrison Formation 150, 160 million years ago. But overall, I am still very, 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 very excited for the upcoming update. Now, considering that when Tenebris was being worked on, we waited maybe a year for it to be complete, and when it launched on, I believe it was July 3rd, which is actually fairly close to my birthday. You just put that out there. The reason it took a good while for Tenebris to come out, and the reason it was so plagued with issues when it first launched, is because unlike Moreau Island, which has, I think, a couple thousand objects placed on it, like trees, bushes, rocks, etc., Tenebris has them in the hundreds of thousands. So depending on the size of this desert map, like if it's gonna be the size of Tenebris or the size of Moreau, I can see it taking maybe 7 months to be complete since it was first announced, and it was announced maybe a month and a half ago. So depending on the size, we should see it come within the next 6 to 8 months. You thought I was gonna say The Thing, didn't you? I know how some of you work. I'm not saying it. But yeah, overall, this video is mainly just gonna be a yap session and me killing whatever I can find. And, I don't know if you can hear my sniffling, but I am a little stuffed up at the moment, but it's whatever. I really just felt like, giving my thoughts and views on this stuff. Because in general, I love this game. Like, I really do. I remember when, Carnivore's Dinosaur Hunt first came around, everybody thought that it would be the greatest dinosaur hunting game ever, only for Digital Dreams to pull what they did with HD and Reborn, just push out a barely complete half game, give it a pointless DLC with 2 species that never really needed to be added, those being the Giganotosaurus and Carnotaurus. Hell, they didn't even bother to edit the Unity Asset Store models they bought. Like, I'm sure many of you have seen the old Rex model for Prehistoric Hunt. That was from the developers using what they had available to them at the time. And as soon as they were able to, they instantly changed that model to something that's actually good. Because while the Jurassic Park Rex model and Roars are iconic, they tend to get boring very, very quickly. And the old Carno model and old Giga model were the same ones that the Dinosaur Hunt devs were using for the same species in Carnivore's Dinosaur Hunt. But shortly after, the Prehistoric Hunt devs edited the model of the Giga and the Carno so that they actually look better. I'm fine with the Carnotaurus model as it is in Prehistoric Hunt. I don't feel like it needs changed. And with all the species having been remodeled into something great like the Rex, the Iguanodon, the Anki, Compy, Brack, Packy, Galley, Utah, Spino, and a bunch others, the only species that truly needs a remodel is the Giganotosaurus. Like, the current model is okay, but to me it just doesn't feel like a Giganotosaurus. Giganotosaurus was a fairly bulky animal in life, and the current model, I feel like it just doesn't give it justice, because if you compare it to the incredibly bulky Rex model and the Spino model, it feels like the Spino is bulkier than the Giga in this game, which was not the case in reality. The Giga was a good deal bulkier than any Spinosaurid that we know of course. So, personally, I feel like the developers should completely remodel the Giganotosaurus. The current textures can stay. They're excellent. I love that uncommon Giganotosaurus texture. But the model just has to go, in my opinion. It needs a replacement. It just doesn't feel like the largest Carcharodontosaurid to ever live that we know of. It feels like it feels like a mix between a malnourished Yanxuanosaurus and an Eocarcharia. Like, that is genuinely what it feels like. I also have some criticisms with the gun models. mainly the 30-30 and 45-70. Now, as I'm sure many of you know by now, I am an absolute gun nut. And I can point out many pixels that are wrong with a firearm model in a game. And, holy, the main issues I have with the 45-70 model and the 30-30 model are, they're modeled after rifles that were never chambered in those cartridges. This model, the model being used for them, is basically the Winchester Model 1873. While that cartridge was chambered in things like, well, that rifle was chambered in things like 4440 Winchester, 45 and 45 Colt, those aren't rifle rounds. It was a PCC, a pistol caliber carbine. So it would make more sense for, while still keeping a more classical look, for the 45-70 to be remodeled after the Winchester 1886, which was one of the first civilian lever rifles chambered for 45-70 government, and for the 30-30 to be remodeled after the classic Winchester Model 94. Or even the Marlin 336. As it would make a good deal of sense. Like, it'd still have that more classic cowboy lever gun vibe if it were the Model 94 and Model 86. Whilst being accurate to what these calibers were used in at that time. The 1876 or 1873 just was not built for full power rifle cartridges. Yeah, Winchester does make one chambered in 38 Special, but that's still a handgun cartridge. It's not a big rifle cartridge. Rifle cartridges are typically twice as powerful as a handgun cartridge and have much better energy retention. So, the current 30-30 model could be used for a pistol caliber carbine. Now, while the actual 30-30 cartridge could be used in something modeled after the Model 94. A fairly simple compromise, and then there's the 700. Currently, it's using one of the free assets on the Unity Asset Store, which is a double-barreled shotgun. And the model isn't the greatest. They could choose a different shotgun model, edit the shell part of the model into a rifle round like they did here, and just put the rear sight on that model and give it a front blade sight, because I don't know if you can see it very well, but that front sight is absolutely tiny and would be used on a shotgun. The 700 is a rifle round. You're gonna want a good front blade sight on a double rifle. It would appear I'm being charged by 2. Popping up. That's one. That's two. Basically, that's how you can survive a Rex attack. Just constant walk back, walk back, walk back, shoot, shoot, shoot. Yeah, it can completely demolish the integrity depending on how many times you hit and what you're using. But can it and will it save you? Maybe 8 times out of 10. Now, what was I saying? Oh, there's another one. Could hardly see him, so I just shot blindly. Also, realistically speaking, you would be able to kill a Tyrannosaurus with a 4570, depending on what loading you're using. Like, a lot of people completely overestimate how durable something like a T-Rex would be. Yes, there is something like Australia and the sternum, which you would absolutely need to punch through if you're going for a full frontal heart shot. But even then, you wouldn't need something like a 50 BMG. Something like the, like a 540 grain solid from a 4570, which is used to kill elephant, would be enough. The ribs on a Tyrannosaurus were, I believe, a couple millimeters thick. I think it was 8. And realistically, 4570 is absolutely punching right through that. Like, a lot of people don't get that, the gaps between the rib bones on a Tyrannosaurus were fairly wide, unlike something like the real world, the living Cape Buffalo. You wouldn't need an absolute cannon like a Nitro Express or a 50 BMG to effectively down a Rex. You could probably do it with a 300 Win Mag if you were going for a complete broadside shot and hit it right in the lungs. It would go down very quickly. Pretty much no matter what. So, when I was making these weapon changes, I kept this general theme in mind. What would I use for these species? What would be a comfortable stat for the real-world ballistics of this cartridge? What would they realistically be used on, dinosaur-wise, or pterosaur-wise, for that matter? So I took to real-world examples like Cape Buffalo, moose, mule deer, American black bear, interior grizzly, and the African bush elephant, of course. And going off of these real-world examples, realistically, you could kill an Allosaurus, for example, with something like a 270. Due to fairly hollow bones. All dinosaurs, to my recollection, had fairly pneumatic bones like birds, since birds are dinosaurs. And hollow bones are a lot easier to break than bones that are solid completely through like a mammal. So, an Allosaurus would be maybe as tough as a Rocky Mountain elk, despite being a lot heavier. It's the pneumatic bones that would not make them very, very tough due to air sacs. Again, this is just off my memory. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But yeah, overall, realistically, you wouldn't need such huge calibers and massively powerful cartridges to bring down a megatheropod. Like, you just wouldn't. So, when I made these changes, I went the realism route. Such as this. Oh, this thing. There will be a lot more videos like this, basically Prehistoric Hunt Yap Session videos. And this is actually likely going to be one of 2 videos going up today, as of May 24th, 2026. As I am likely going to have a special guest in the second video of this day. So keep your eyes peeled for when that video launches. Essentially, the tactic I'm using is a rework of the old Rex tactic. The old Rex tactic, when they had their old model, was you would run around them. Like, you would keep to near their legs or tail. Like, the back of the legs or around the base of the tail. Hold on. Basically, you'd keep to about here on them and run around them, and when they went to bite, you would inevitably dodge, and you would pop them right about there, in order to quickly bring them down through long shots or even a lucky heart shot. And the remixed tactic is you walk back, and when they go to bite, you pop them in the vitals. By doing this with a powerful enough weapon like the 338 or the 4570 at the minimum, you can effectively get 99-100% integrity Tyrannosaurs. However, unless you have a lot of practice like I do, maybe 8 times out of 10, you'll likely mess up and get killed. So it's best to practice on easy difficulty and get the hang of it so that your next few Rex encounters aren't so absolutely crap your pants terrifying. Oh, that's a piebald. And that can also happen. Basically, you want to be careful as to not get caught mid-reload. But yeah, overall the tactic does work well enough. You just have to be careful. I am eager to see the score on that piebald. I remember the old piebald Rex. Whenever I saw one with the old piebald texture on the old model, whenever I saw it, I'd sometimes just ignore it. I didn't like it that much. Like, I would ignore the old piebald Rex. But now, whenever I see one, I actively try to get a good score on it. Because I actually want one. Like, I want a legendary piebald Rex. The only, I only have 2 legendary Rexes in my, lodge on the main profile. And that was with the old model. Like, these new ones, I like them a lot. I'm gonna see if I can, get a good trophy shot. Alright, raise that up. Spacebar that. This is tech. This may not be anatomically excellent. Hold up, I will be back once I get this figured out. And finishing touches. There we go. Now let's get our character and put him maybe there. This will be a good thumbnail. I'm not going to bother taxidermizing that, as I will most likely lose it once I go back to the main build. But yeah, overall, this has been a very fun yap session, and I look forward to making more of them. I hope you enjoyed the content, and perhaps if you are not already subscribed, you could just hit that red button, hit the bell, just sauce me a follow, essentially. Well, not really sauce me a follow, someone's already taken that. Whatever. But yeah. Dyno out!